Had one of those situations today, well, not today, but recently, where uh, somebody confused using Azure DevOps with doing DevOps and said those aren't the same things, right? You know, if you're, you can, if you give a caveman a computer, they'll bash somebody over the head with it because that's what you do with when you're a caveman, you know. And so, yeah, there was this project. They said, yeah, we do all DevOps, and what they meant by that was they were using something in Azure DevOps, and of course that's not DevOps. And so the conversation I keep having with a lot of people is that DevOps is not about tooling. It's not about the tools. It's about the process. It's about the people. It's about the organization. It's about the way that you go about your work. And the the uh, the magic happens when there's like clear accountability, clear data. And I was just talking to my boss today about that topic. Like, you know, if you can do it with duct tape and baling wire, do it. The whole point is to take that lead cycle time, the ideation, getting that idea, getting it deployed to production. That's what you optimize. You don't optimize the database script that's running in 50 milliseconds to run in 49 milliseconds. No one cares. You know, that's what we did in the 80s. You know, that made a lot of sense back then. That kind of stuff right now, shoot, that's not what we do. What we do is we look at the entire thing. It's about having an idea and getting it out to production. If you can do that faster, you can win. If you can't do that faster, what you wind up with is a great big backlog, among other things. But one of the things that you get is this enormous backlog. And then everyone gets frustrated because you're making them prioritize a backlog rather than test stuff, use their new functionality, right? I know I'm talking to Matt there. Matt knows what's going on. So it's not necessarily about tooling. You can do DevOps with any number of tools. And so that's one of the things that's exciting about the Houston DevOps meetup. We've got a lot of people jumping on here. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's kick this thing off. Welcome to the Houston DevOps meetup for the month of June. We're in June already. We're almost halfway through this year. I can't believe it. Raining like crazy here in Houston. Weird weather in Texas. If for any of y'all that are joining from outside of Texas, Texas is an awesome place. I got here when I was about 9, moved down here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I love Pittsburgh. It's a great place, but boy, Texas is just wonderful. But we've had weird weather down here. And it all started with that lousy snowstorm in February. That was miserable. And it's been wet, been kind of mild, just weird. Normally by about this time of year, my lawn's dead. You know, you get into July and there's nothing left of that, but everything is a little strange this year. And so that's good. At least it's different, right? We've got my office is we're talking about opening up. You know, we've got a soft launch going on right now. People coming in the door. I was just up there today talking to my boss. I literally had not seen my boss in over a year. So that was fun. Saying howdy. And of course, this was her first day back in the office and everything was still put away. You know, the entire office is shut down. Like there's a coffee bar on the 5th floor and it's got these coffee mate creamers. They all expired in November. Just, so yeah, getting the office open again, but we're in soft launch and we're looking for a more of an open in August, and that dovetails nicely, of course, with the DevOps Days DevOps Days Houston happening this year, September 21st and 22nd on the west side there at the Norris Conference Centers, live and in person. Oh my goodness, you can come and you can hang out with a bunch of other Houston professionals in DevOps and learn about all kinds of fantastic topics. We are working on the program right now. Early bird tickets are on sale, a great value, and get out and see people. There are still people out there. You know, we're gonna be doing this thing live and in person. It's been exciting, so we're looking forward to that. So all that being said, the Houston DevOps meetup exists for community. It exists to bring like-minded professionals together, and we understand that the cloud moves fast. We understand that there's too much to know, And you can't know it all. And if you think you know it all, well, you don't know enough. And go out there and learn a little bit, and you'll know just how much you don't know. That's the great thing about the cloud. So if you can't do it all, if you don't know anything about OpenShift, but you need to, well, the Houston DevOps Meetup is a great place to meet somebody that might know something about OpenShift, and you can spin that up, and you could work with them to get that taken care of, because it moves fast, because there's too much to know. It's just as much anymore about who you know, being able to stitch things together, grab this person from there, grab that tool from here, and bang, you're making magic happen. And that's what we do, right? We fix problems. We're professionals. We're computer engineers. So that's what the Houston DevOps Meetup is about. We're about community, about having those conversations, learning about what people are doing. And that's both on the good side and the bad side. So as we're going through here, as you have questions, be as interrupting as possible. If that's helping, if it's getting you some answers to some of your questions, if something is sparking your interest, make sure we know about that so that we can follow up with you as appropriate. We've got a cool presentation today. Looking forward to it. And with all that being said, I will hand it over to my my presenter here. So let me give you the chance to, I'm going to make you co-host here. And you should be able to present. Welcome to Houston DevOps Meetup.
Thank you so much. So I'm Raji, Rajalakshmi Srinivasan, just forget that, Raji. So I've joined from India. So happy to virtually meet you all through this platform. So that is one of the positive sides of doing a virtual meetup, where it's easy for me to connect from India. It's early in the morning here, 4 a.m. So I've just connected from here, and I'm happy to be part of this month's meetup. So I'll be sharing my screen. I have a presentation which will run for 35 to 40, 30 to 40 anywhere. And feel free to, I want it to be an open discussion. More of these meetups are to know about what each one of us are doing, and learn the best practices from what each one of us are doing. That's the main purpose of any meetup, is what I would think as. And I'm from possibly a product person or a tools person, but we can have any, irrespective of it, we can have any discussion around it. So keep your questions.
4 o'clock. You said 4 a.m.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. So, and it is, feel free to, as you see through my presentation, feel free to keep your questions coming in the chat box. But I would have my flow of thoughts, continue the presentation, complete it, and then I'll be happy to answer all your questions. So I hope I'm audible, I'm clear, because this virtual meetups, I will never know how it is received on the other end. So it's more like I'm sitting in my room talking to my pinhole camera. That's how it is. Okay.
Absolutely. And you do want to be called Raji?
Raji, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, I see a screen.
I hope all of you or most of you have been from the same place or same area, which means it is good afternoon or good evening for the folks who have joined. So the topic that I'll be discussing today is about AIOps observability. And the points that I'll be talking, or the different areas that we will cover, or about it's nothing new, just to set the context of the digital transformation the different industries are in, and the experience part. Why is a user experience, or why is a digital experience important? And then to talk about the pillars of observability to set the context. Then about the AI ops itself. In our, I think most of us are DevOps persons, or you call ourselves DevOps or IT administrator, for whatever role we play. How can AI help in our day-to-day activities, particularly with respect to IT operations, and then some use cases. So I may not get into details of each of this, just 5 to 6 minutes on each topic, and then we can have a free-wheeling discussion. Digital transformation itself, I don't think I have to give any introduction because it is not something new. It has been almost 16 years we are into this journey, and the different organizations or the different industries, I should say, are in different phases of this transformation. You take any industry, be it automobile or retail or education sector itself. Every industry has undergone drastic transformation, and this pandemic has only added more to it. It is that industries who have already adopted the journey found it easy for them to continue their work, whereas those industries that could not adopt the digital found it a little bit difficult to first adopt and then start their journey during this pandemic. That's what we saw during this pandemic time too. To give some examples, I mean, this must have been easy or in the western part of the world, but even the other part of the world, children were all doing only online classes. Physical schools became online classes. Conferences like these, meetups like these, which we were doing in physical, have now become virtual. Gyms have become fitness apps, and any shopping you do is now only online. So all that you need today is only a high-speed internet connection and a mobile phone in your hand. You can do anything and everything from wherever you are in this world. So that is the transformation which we are talking about, and that is the stage which we are all in. So when we talk about the different industries, this transformation has impacted IT as well. So this is how a typical client server architecture used to be before a digital transformation. Possibly, okay, sorry, I didn't give my introduction. So I've been, I'm sorry about that. I've been in the industry and at Zoho is the organization I've been part of for the past 22 years. I'm sure Zoho as a company, people will be aware of. And Zoho as a company has been a product-based product company where we build products for your end-to-end operation of any business, be it your customer relationship management, the CRM or the marketing tools, or your collaborative presentation tools, or your people management, finance tools. End-to-end of any business, there are products, tools available. And Site24X7 is a monitoring tool from Zoho, which has been in the industry for 15 years. I have been associated, joined as a developer 22 years ago, and I've been associated with the company for 22 years now. This is my 22nd year. So I'm just bringing this here because when I started as a developer way back, before this digital transformation, this is how typically we used to do. So when I saw this slide, I remembered, oh, okay, I haven't given my introduction. Okay. So it used to be typically like we have our web servers or application servers or database servers in one corner of our physical office, and then connect. We didn't even have internet. All these products, it's all on premise, and then you connect using your devices, laptop or your desktop. That's what the front end and the back end component was typically before the digital transformation. But with things going digital, everything become available as a service. This is how typically it became. So all that you require, be it your the applications, the monitoring tools, your communication tools, your platform components, your databases, your infrastructure components, everything is now available on the cloud. So gone are the days where we used to first worry about procuring the infrastructure if we have to start thinking on writing some code or starting a business. Today, just things are available on the cloud. Make use of it. Your idea is what is important if you want to start a business, and connect using any of the client using your mobile or your tablet that is available. So this is how typically the transformation has happened in IT as well. So when we talk about the cloud and the everything being in the cloud, any business or any application that you write is typically all of us at the end of the day write applications. So before I get into that, let me give some quick stats as to how the internet itself is being used. As of March 2021, there are almost 4.54 billion internet users, and 1.92 billion users are doing, people around the world are doing online purchases. And there are 2 billion websites on the World Wide Web, and every day 100,000 domains are getting registered. Why I'm bringing these stats is If you are a business owner who's planning to start a new business, or if you are a person who's working in an organization who's planning to move your on-premise solution to the cloud, whatever be it, you are one among that 100,000. How do you make sure your business stands ahead of the competition? How do you make sure you are able to attract customers and retain them? One important factor for that is experience. The user experience is important. The user experience could be in any form. The way you write your email to your customer, the way your support person picks up a call and talks with your customer, or the way you have designed your UI, the amount of configurations that are available, the amount of automations that are already available, the flexibilities in the tool, the coolness of the UI, could be anything. But at the end of the day, that experience is what is added advantage for you to stand ahead of your competition. So when I talk about experience, I'm actually reminded of this book by Kathy Sierra. I'm sure some of you would have read it. This is there in my shelf among the many books that I have. Badass, Making Users Awesome. So if you have already not read this, I would strongly recommend read it, because this gives a different perspective of how you have to approach a business or how you have to take care of your customers. So there are, it's very simple, or is it, you have some diagrams and she explains it in a beautiful way. And there is a question in one of the pages in that book, which reads like this: which would you want to have your users feel? And she goes on to give 4 options. And if you have to choose only one, what is that you will choose? That's what is her question. It's not about what you want your user to have, it's about what you want your user to feel. So the options are: this product is awesome. Assume you are building that product. Do you want to have your users have a feeling that the product is awesome? Or this company is the company that is building the product is awesome? Or the brand that the company owns that's building the product is awesome? This might look like a tricky question. I mean, I can choose any of this, right? That's how it will generally feel. But she goes on to say that not these 3. There is one more 4th option, which is very important for you to have your user feel. Have them feel, I am awesome. But she gives explanation. When we read the book, whatever question that comes to our mind is already captured in the book. But people don't actually talk like that, right? Nobody says I am awesome because of a product. They only say I love this app, or this app is amazing. That's all they talk about. Which means when he or she says this product is amazing, you should see what it does, they only mean I am amazing, you should see what I can do with that. So if you get such users who are in love with your product, who have a feeling that they are awesome, look at what all they would do. So when you have a user feel that they are awesome, they will remain loyal. They will resist competition. They will not go to competition, and they will tolerate problem. Even if there are few problems in the product, no, they have got that awesome feeling. So they will not move away from your product. They will talk about or evangelize for your product, free marketing. That's what is required. And they form groups, community groups, and they will be able to, they will give help before even when there is a forum and you ask some problem. It could be a software product, could be any product. Before the product owner gives the solution, the user will come forward to give the solution. So these are some things which, and some more. So these are some things which the user will do if they have that love for the product and they have that feeling. So make that user have that feeling. And that is the secret for sustained success, the successful users. You can do something magic and be successful for a shorter term. But if you want to see success on a longer run in your business, sustained success, you need to have such successful users. And for such successful users, the experience is important. User experience matters. The whatever product you do, software product or whatever business you have, take care of your users. And we are now talking about digital world. So digital experience is important. When we talk about the digital world and user experience, there was this Forbes article which had 100 stats to say about these digital world and user experience. I've just picked 3 of 5 of them, and I'll be quoting here because it was relevant. I thought it was relevant for the discussion that we are having. 89% of companies have adopted digital first strategy. It's not that they just do on-premise. When they start itself, they have started doing it on the cloud. 86% of companies believe cloud technology is critical to digital transformation. It's not sufficient you say that I want to move to the cloud and stick on with your legacy software or legacy tools. You have to use the latest technologies. If you cannot say that I will not be using a latest caching framework or a queue framework, and I will stick on with my own legacy system, but still I want to move to the cloud. That will not give you the result that you want. You have to start adopting the latest technologies, so that the companies have started believing and started moving in that direction. 67% of consumers will pay more for a great experience. We all know, we have seen that in many of the products that we use in our day-to-day lives. 87% of companies think digital will disrupt their industry, and they have started moving there. And it is not that just small startups and SMBs, even the enterprises have started moving their workloads to the cloud. 83% of enterprises have started doing that. So all this go on to say that when things are on the cloud, experience is important, digital experiences matters. So when we talk about doing application, the cloud application, so how do you categorize? When you write an application, how do you categorize architecture layer? I've just categorized them as 4 layers. The topmost layer is your end user layer, which comprises of your web browsers or your tablets, your mobiles, through which you connect to the application behind. So the next layer is your application layer, which is the software as a service that is actually hosting the business logic. So as business owners, the focus is more on this. The next is your platform layer, platform as a service, your caching servers, your NoSQL databases, queues, microservices, everything comes under this platform as a service layer. And the bottommost is your infrastructure layer, which actually comprises of your physical servers, virtual servers, cloud servers, or your entire network component, your router, firewall, switch, everything comes under the infrastructure layer. So these are typically the various layers in any cloud architecture. And as DevOps engineers or as an IT administrator, it is very important for us person to know end-to-end visibility of what is happening across all these layers. Because when a problem occurs, the problem could be in any of these layers. Suppose all your online applications has websites. Website is the index for all our, that's the IT asset, right? So suppose your website is down. The problem could be anywhere. It could be in an ISP that is down in a particular region, or it could be a port in a particular switch is not working. It can be across these layers, it can be anywhere, but this will impact your entire business. So it is important to know end-to-end visibility of what is happening in all these layers. And for that, tools will be helpful, because DevOps person, we say we have to do our releases in a quick manner, plan, develop, release. There are now the industries or organizations are having releases in such a way in deployment. You can do from 2 to 20 deployments per day. At Site24/7 being a cloud provider, we do sometimes even some 20 deployments or 20 build updates per day. So we are able to do that is because you have the right tools in place, and it is important to know what is happening in these layers and use the right set of tools to know what is happening. So with that introduction on the digital transformation and digital journey, digital experience importance, I'll move on to the next section, that is the observability. So this again is not something new. So observability is the base for any monitoring requirement. And there are actually 3 pillars of observability. I'll just quickly touch upon what is important as when you look for, or when you look for a tool, or when you select a tool, what are the things that you have to look for if it is available in that, because if this particular topic itself can be talked at length for half an hour to 1 hour. So there are 3 pillars for observability, which we are all aware of. The first one is metrics. So when we talk about metrics, what metrics are important or that you have to look for when selecting a tool for your monitoring needs? There are 2 important categories of metrics. First one is availability. Being on the cloud, the industry expects 99.999% available. 5 nines. We have moved from 3 nines to 5 nines. It is almost 100%. But it's okay. You can have here and there some downtime. That's what industry expects. And that's what competition is able to give. If you are a business owner who's having it on the cloud, you have to make sure that your application, not just application, the availability across all the layers. It could be your application, it could be your server component, or it could be if you're owning the entire infrastructure yourself, you have to make sure that all these layers are up and running. So not just one component, all those layers, all the components in those layers have to be up and running. Okay, availability is a metric. Is availability sufficient? I am on the cloud. I have all my components up and running. I have taken care of it. No, that is one more component which is important, and that is performance. There is no point in having all your resources up and running if they are going to be performing very, very slow. We in fact coined a new terminology as slow is the new down, because none of us have the patience or time to sit through pages that are going to take forever to load, right? I think you'll agree with me. Even when we do a search in any of the search engines, how many of us go to the second page or third page in a search engine? We just settle with the first few links that we get. We will go to see if ours is listed there in the second or third page. That's most of the time that we do. So as a business owner, for your pages to be loaded or to come in the first page, performance is important. That's a crucial factor. The industry expects pages to load in just 2 seconds. So we have to see where the problem is, how to fix it. Though those are all possibly that's other person's role, but we have to monitor, we have to make use of tools to find out where the problem is. So these are the metrics will vary depending on what you want to collect. As I said, if it is a application, there could be what time is being spent on your document on your front end loading. It could be in the document. Possibly there is more time that is being spent on the download. The document download time is more, or the resources download time is more, or there is a loop that is happening in your backend server code in connecting with the database, and that is a problem. So those are some metrics that you need to collect. And with respect to your server, if you're monitoring your physical or virtual server, you may have to collect metrics like the CPU utilization, memory utilization, the processes that are running. So the metrics that you collect will vary, but you need to collect availability metrics and performance metrics. So that's important with respect to metrics. Look for these metrics when you're choosing the tool. The second pillar is trace. As I said, the entire workflow from the time user clicks on the browser, the request, all the way the transaction is being transferred to your backend component, the processing happening, and then the response comes and the response is seen on the UI, the entire life cycle of a transaction. There are cases where thousands of method calls are happening in that. It's not just hundreds. Thousands and 10,000s of method calls happen in this just one transaction. And you need to know where the problem is. For that, you need to have the entire trace. And with respect to tracing, and we are talking about the microservice architectures, the industry has moved from a monolith architecture to a microservice architecture where everything is containerized and distributed. Tracing across the different container components is again a challenge. It's not easy for you to do across all these platforms. So you have to trace across the application platforms, be it the application written in Java or .NET or Ruby, or it is being deployed in your public cloud, or you have your deployment in your private on-premise. You need to trace across application platforms. Tools will help you support that. And when we talk about the container architecture, distributed tracing is important. Each of the container is written in its own language. And the beauty of containerized architecture is the architecture might look very simple. You just have to focus on only each of the containers. You can write, you can build, you can deploy, you can test it. All these can be done in independence. Each container can run on its own, but the complexity lies in monitoring them. Because each of it runs on its own, you don't have control. When something goes down, it is very difficult for you to find out what's the root cause of that. So distributed tracing across the microservice architecture is a challenge, but there are tools that could help in doing that. So look if the tools have the tracing options. So metrics are important, tracing is important, and the third pillar is logs. So when we talk about logs, as developers, or I say most of it because I've started my career as a developer and then transformed. So I just keep giving that reference. So when any problem occurs, the first place for us to look is access logs. What's the problem? So what is the access log? What is the application log? Is there a problem in the event log of the system? Those are some things which we are dependent on to look at if there is any problem. So in such cases, we are talking about a cloud environment where everything is distributed. You have your cloud servers across the globe. So I won't call it as impossible. It is actually tedious for the DevOps person to take remote of all the different servers across the globe and to look at all the logs. Instead, all these logs should be collected at one place, processed, and you must be able to quickly query and find out what the problem is. So that is what log management is, and there are tools available for that. It is more like consolidating the logs from all the platforms, whatever applications are running in that, doing some real-time processing on it, and then storing it in such a way that you can query from that and easily find out what the problem is. So, to put it in one simple term, converting unstructured data into structured data is what is log management, and there are tools that can do that for you. So when we talk, these three are the major pillars when you're selecting tool. You have to make sure the particular tool that you're selecting, whatever be the tool, have all these three, not in bits and pieces and use multiple tools for your work. So make sure you're able to get these three pillars in your tool selection. So that's about the observability pillars. The next section will be on the AI ops itself. So what can AI help, or how can AI help in the day-to-day activities of an IT administrator or a DevOps person? So when we want to talk about AI, there is one takeaway that I want people to take. This is something that I keep talking in many of my talks and other places too. So the AI is, as the name indicates, it is artificial intelligence. So the engine itself is only as powerful as the human behind it. So it is important to train the system with accurate data points. If you are feeding the system with garbage data, you will only get garbage out. Garbage in is only garbage out. So it is crucial and it is important to train the system, whatever system it is AI is being applied on, with accurate and humongous data points. So that is very crucial, because often it comes like when we talk about AI, no, there are a lot of false alerts that I get. I don't get the required results. It's all because the system is not trained properly. So that's something that we have to keep in mind, and it doesn't come overnight. Lot of times the training has to be done for a year, because any data, or the examples that I will be giving will be mostly from IT and IT monitoring, because but that is applicable for any domain also, is what I would say. If I have to give a monitoring example, when you want to apply AI on your collected metrics, the engine will be able to help, or you need to have the historical data. You need to have 1 year's historical data. Suppose you're planning for a New Year sale, and you want the AI engine to give a prediction of how many more servers will I need. The system should have to compare it with the previous year's equivalent sale, what has happened. So those data has to be stored in the system. It is not simply comparing with yesterday's data. Similarly, when an anomaly has to be detected, suppose you are having a response time always as 3 seconds. Your average response time for your web page is 3 to 5 seconds. And there is going to be a sudden spike of 10 seconds. The AI engine should be able to alert you without any user intervention. But to do that, there is a lot of comparison that the AI engine has to do. Like there is a deviation. And today, if I see as I forgot what day is today, Tuesday. Yeah, if there is a deviation at Tuesday, it has to compare it with the deviation of, it has to compare the data with the Tuesday's data of previous week and not just yesterday's data. If it is a Monday and you're comparing with the yesterday's data, it's a Sunday, which is a non-business hours, and you will get a wrong prediction. So a lot of such factors have to be put into when you're designing or when you're feeding the system with the data points. So this is something crucial that has to be kept in mind. The system will be only as powerful as how we are programming it to be done. So with that introduction on AI, let me quickly run through what are the different use cases or how AI and ML can help day-to-day activities. They can help with promoting feedback. So, okay, this was the example that I was giving. So based on the historical data that is available, DevOps is more about feedback at every loop. We look for quick feedback from development to testing to deployment, then to the planning stage. Every stage we look for feedback. So the data that is available based on the historical data that is there, AI engine will be able to give feedback. So that is it's not in any order. That's in one way that AI can help. Then enable communication, chatbots. So all of us have our own communication tools that we have to interact with our team. And you want your monitoring tool to be integrated with there should be option for your monitoring tool to be integrated with the chatbot that you're using. Suppose you're using Microsoft Teams or Slack for your own team integration, team communication. All of us will be on that platform. We are not going to go look at the monitoring tools platform 24/7. But if the tool has the capability of, AI can help with integrating the alerts and reports from the tool as a chatbot into your communication tool, into your Slack portal, into your Teams portal. This chatbot integration is possible using AI that will help you in your day-to-day activities. So chatbots are helpful, which is again part of AI. Manage a flurry of alerts. Whenever we talk about any monitoring, not just monitoring, even your ticketing software, ticketing tools, we end up having a lot of alerts. That is one place where AI can help. It can help in assigning the tickets based on segregating the tickets based on severity. Severity level 1, level 2, level 3. That is how you segregate. Those learnings can be used to segregate and assign it to a particular technician. So already as a manual person, you go assign these to particular technicians. The AI engine can be trained that and it can do. So by doing that, assigning to a particular technician, first level is done. So this will help in reducing your mean time to respond. So those are some areas where AI can help. Managing a flurry of alerts and distributing the alerts based on their severity, assigning some of them, and in some cases, in some ticketing software, even the first level reply is done by an AI bot, because there are knowledge bases available. The AI engine will just read from that and send the first level response to. So the system has evolved to such extent where even a first level response can be given. That in those are areas where AI can be helpful. Data correlation across tools. So all said and done, we will definitely be having tools, multiple tools to find out what the problems are. And there are humongous data available. Correlating the results of these data across all these tools is again one area where AI can be helpful. Evaluating past performance. This is exactly the shopping experience example that I gave. So based on the previous historical data, last year's sale, what was the number of servers you had, the tool will be able to give you a recommendation of you have to add 5 more servers, you have to add 10 more servers. So that is again possible using AI. evaluate based on past performance, correlating test results. We do a lot of tests. We do development testing, we do pre-production testing, we do a staging testing, and then again the final testing after deployment. So what are the results? Are the results the same across all these testing? Is there any anomaly? So these are some, this is again another area where AI can be helpful. And fine-tuning deployment strategies. There are a lot of cloud deployments that we have. We have different grids for as deployments. So when you want to apply some configuration in one local grid setup and apply the same across all the places, the AI can help in that. And then self-training. All said and done, AI is about training, and it can do all based on all the data being collected. AI can do self-training so that it can prevent false alerts. Preventing false alerts for a monitoring tool, alerting is important. At the same time, we should not get any false alert. Once you get false alert, the credibility on the tool is lost. People will not believe even when there is a proper alert. So it is equally important for the tool to not send false alert, and AI can help in that. So let's quickly look into some of the use cases. I'm just doing a time check. I'll just finish it off in 5 to 6 minutes. That's the last section that I'm having. So again, the use cases that I'll be talking for AI will be more on the IT administrator use cases or the IT use cases itself. AI can be used for decision making. How can AI help in decision making? I'll get into details of this one particular case. The other use cases will only be as name references. So the IT operator's decision making depends on various parameters. Let's take an example of a human being. Forget an automated engine or AI for a moment. The IT operator, the human person, when something goes down, what are the various things that they have to look for when your website is down? So they have to see if there is a problem in the application code. Is there any exception that is being thrown? So that is the area that they have to look. And they have to look at the server parameters. Is my disk utilization full, or is my memory full? Is that causing a problem for the server to go, for my website to go down? So that is something people have to look for. If you are running on a virtual machine, the virtual machine's metrics have to be collected or have to be looked into if there is a problem there. Is my network working fine? Is there a problem in any of my port or switch? So the network data, the traffic on that particular switch. So all those are data that have to be looked into. User access details. Is the problem a problem on somebody is complaining a problem is only for a particular user, or is it down for the users across the globe? So that is something that you have to look for. Application logs. We saw in the log section itself, we have to look at the access log, the application logs. So those are some areas which the IT operator looks. If you're running it in a cloud, have I configured it correctly? Have I enabled auto scaling in a correct way? Have I written all the configurations or scripts correctly to do a restart? So those are some things which you have to look for. Event logs, possibly all you have your application perfect, fine and running. There is another process that is running in the system that is causing a downtime. So which you have to look at the event log to find out if there is an external factor that is causing a problem. And then the geography data. Is this the problem only for a particular region, or is it a problem affecting all the regions? And ISP configuration. Everything is working fine. Say, for example, now we are connected using a Zoom platform. It's all perfectly working fine. Suppose I have my ISP down. We can't do anything. I cannot be able to connect to this. This is nothing to do with the application itself, the Zoom itself. So ISP configurations also have to be checked. I've just listed some 10 parameters, which you as a human being, the IT operator have to look into all these parameters. If such is the case, if they are able to look at all these parameters from a single tool and make some decision in a browser or in any whatever, wherever you're looking, only then the AI engine will be able to learn from those user actions and help in decision making. So what I'm trying to say here is, we talked about the various layers, and there are tools that are specific for each of the layers. Often people end up like, find out who's the best player in the end user layer. Let me use that for my website monitoring. Find out who's the best player in my application layer. Let me use that for my application monitoring. But once you start using multiple tools like that, you will end up consolidating all this and building a tool. You will have to spend more time to consolidate all this and build a tool yourself. Instead, look for a tool that can give monitoring across all the layers. And when you have monitoring across all the layers, all these parameters can be visible in one particular tool. And once the IT operator starts using that, the AI engine in the tool will be able to learn from that, and it can give or it can help in decision making. So that's something that I wanted to say. So AI can do predictive analysis and contextual knowledge from all these layers. With all these in place, it can help in decision making. Even before a user or a person, human being says that this could be a problem, when all these data are available in one place, the AI engine will be able to tell and help with decision making. And AI can be, these are just examples where automatically when there is a problem in a particular region, the response time has surged, and this has resulted in 3 times the increase of a response time from baseline. Is an automatic graph that a tool can give without any user configuration. And this is the implementation of AI in a particular tool. And not just for response time. This can be applicable for any metrics, for your server metric or any metric. It can be used swap memory or any metric, it can be applicable. So these are ways which AI can be helpful in decision making. Forecasting. Forecasting is based on the historical data that is available. AI can help with capacity planning. It's not that you have to come to a stage where, oh, my disk is getting full. How do I replace it? Based on the previous data, previous 7 days data, this is going to be the prediction for the next 7 days. Based on the previous 30-day data, this is going to be the prediction for the next 30 days. And such reports can help with capacity planning. You don't have to be on the edge of your seat towards the fag end of the capacity is getting filled. So capacity planning can be done with the help of AI forecasting. Dynamic thresholds. When you're using the tool, it's not required for you to go and set each of the threshold values, the response time value, because that will vary from application to application, from transaction to transaction. It will vary. There could be a back-end schedule which you are okay with running it for even 5. It can even run for 10 seconds, but that's not the case with respect to a web transaction. So you have to define thresholds differently for a web transaction and differently for a scheduled task. Those are some things which automatically the tools can take care. And there are options in tools where you can say, I don't want to do that configuration. Based on the data that is being collected, I leave it to AI-based threshold configurations. That's again another use case where AI can be helpful. And corrective action. Not just we are actually moving from an era of finding out after a problem has occurred, how do I go and solve it? That is being reactive, to being proactive and see to that the problem doesn't occur at all. So that is the stage which we are moving towards, and AI can help in making corrective actions. By corrective actions, it is more to do with when a problem occurs, there has to be scripts which are configured, which suppose your disk is getting full. You can have a script which can help which can actually take a backup and do a restart. So those corrections can be possible using AI technologies. And AI can be used for conversational chatbots, the chatbot integration that I talked about. So I am not going into details of this. That will be too heavy for when I get into details. So these are different use cases which AI can be helpful. So AI engine can integrate with any chat application and provide meaningful conversation inside using the chatbots. You can ask any questions in plain English. NLP can be applied and it can give response. So all those is possible using AI. So the road ahead is more for accurate anomalies and reduction in noise reduction in alerts, smarter automations, and being proactive rather than reactive is what most of the tools are looking for and working towards in their AI journey. So quick stats on the future of AI technologies. By 2023, 75% of organizations will use the deep neural networks in place of classical ML techniques, which means to say that people have started realizing they have to use the latest technologies if they want to make use of the advanced or get the benefits out of the technologies that are available. And then The cloud-based AI will increase 5x, making AI as one of the top cloud services. Actually, ML as a service is something that is picking up. If you have huge amount of data, like how software as a service and platform as a service and infrastructure as a service is there, you can make use of, you need not worry about writing the complex algorithms and getting meaning out of the data that you have. You can make use of machine language as a service that is available and give your data set, get meaning out of it. So that is how things are evolving. And 40% of large enterprises will use AI augmented automation. So enterprises have started automating using the AI technologies. So these are some of the futuristic prediction which the Gartner themselves have for AI. It only goes on to say that AI as a technology is very powerful and it's being used across various industries. So with that, I've come to almost the final end of the presentation. There are many tools. We have been talking about various sections. There are many tools available in the market, and Site24/7 is one such tool. It's an all-in-one AI-powered monitoring tool that can take care of all your monitoring needs in one console, from your end-user layer to your infrastructure layer, and apply AI on top of that. Alerting, reporting on top of it is available in one console. And this is not a new product. We are a mature product. We have been in the industry for close to 15 years now, and we are part of Zoho. We have hosted on, this is a SaaS-based SaaS product, and it's hosted on Zoho's data center. So this is the breadth of AI works at Zoho itself. So Zoho being a software company, and we are a R&D product company, and we are an R&D focused organization where we give a lot of focus on the latest technology, study them, take it and include it in our products. Of the various works that are being done at Zoho, the forecasting, the outage prediction, the root cause analysis, or some features that we use in Site24/7. Other things are used by other different, there are 40 different products across Zoho. Other things are used by other products too. And we have 10 different data centers at 5 different regions, a primary and a secondary data center, one in US, one in UK, India, China, and Australia, so that people's data, they can choose that data center and the data resides within the geographical boundary of that particular region. Being a cloud provider, we do take privacy, security, compliance very seriously, and we get all the certifications, and a strict audit is being processed wherever applicable. So the key takeaways from this session are on the importance of digital experience. Whatever work you do, the experience is important. And the 3 pillars of observability, role of AIOps and use cases and its future. Site24/7 AIOps is a powerful, agile, cost-effective tool. So I just want to, you can take a screenshot of this. I will also be posting it in the chat section. As a token of giving back to the community, when you sign up using this URL, you get a 6 months free subscription to the product. So you can try for yourself. And then if you want, we can even arrange for a demo. That's the reason I've not gone into any of the product details. So feel free to use it wherever applicable. I'd just like to finish with this quote. This is one of my favorite quotes too. This is called as Red Queen's quote. This is a famous quote in the book Alice in Wonderland. I did not read it when I was a child. I just read it for my children. So the quote goes like this: you have to be running as fast as you can in order to stay in the same place. And if you want to make any progress, you have to run twice as fast as you can. So this is generally applicable for us as in our lives too. So if we don't keep ourselves updated, we will be outdated. We have to be running so that we are at least in the same place. So that is the pace at which any industry itself is evolving. And at Zoho too, we are a product company where we look for any new technologies and try to include it as part of our products and pass on that benefit to customers. So I wish you all of us practice that, so that we are all in line with what is happening in the industry and stay updated. Thank you so much for your time. I hope I was able to make some sense, and I'm open for questions.
Oh, Raji, yeah, bringing the heat. That was fantastic. A lot of time. So I'm sitting there watching it and I'm thinking, a great product idea. would be a tool that could, like if you gave it access to your AWS or your Google Cloud or whatever, it was monitoring the logs and the data that it was getting, and it knew how to go into Google Cloud or AWS and turn on the data that it needed, right? Because there's the stuff that just flows through these tools. There's a standard kind of logging and metrics that are provided, but there's also the behind the scenes switches that you got to turn on this, or you need to activate that, or you need to add this or whatever. Like this tool that knows not only how to use the data, but where to go to get the data it needs, right? Because if you don't have the right kind of data available, you're not going to be able to make the right kind of intuitions from it.
Correct. Yeah.
So fantastic. So any questions from the group? So you have the first entry is just getting your stuff up and running in the cloud. But when you're actually starting to do this thing, I would assume your first thing would be to come up with the metrics and the KPIs you want to run your company with. Make sure you can establish those and they actually reflect the way that the application's working. There seems to be a number of steps and a number of layers that go into a true AIOps end goal, where you do have something that is able to make predictions or predictive adjustments on your platform. But there's a number of things you have to do in order to get there. And I think a lot of people are daunted by that. I've run into a lot of business folks that want to do AI and they want to start leveraging these tools, but they struggle often with the fact that you have to kind of walk before you can run. You have to do like you have to demonstrate you can do something small and make that work and then build on top of it. Have you all run into any situations where there's like you should kind of aim for this size of a goal in your first AI implementation?
Okay, so see, AI, after all that we talk about, it is more to do with the, if I have to put it in simple terms, forget about the algorithms that we are using or whatever be it. To put it in simple terms, it is to give automation and make the life of end users easy. So that's a simple thing that we have been doing for a longer term now. What is that we want to achieve at the end of the day? Make it easy for our customers. Give it, they don't have to do any manual work. See if you can do that smartness in the tool. Pass on that smartness to the customers. So those are some things that's a baseline of any AI is what I would feel. So at Site24/7 itself, when we started implementing the AI technologies into our product, one thing is, as I said, we did face a lot of challenge. Like one thing I tell and we also make sure is any technology that you want to bring into your organization or into your implementation, make sure that you don't drastically do changes that will impact customers. You have a business, you have customers. Just because you have to adopt, it's not that the whole world is doing this, I also have to do the same thing. No, find out what is applicable for you. Find out what your business needs are. Do you really need that technology to be used? Those are some things which you have to think through and start applying in small portions so that it doesn't affect the end customer. Simple things like taking things to the cloud. Make sure you are only taking one portion of it. When you're applying AI also, make sure you're applying, at least that's what we did when we did it for our product. So make sure you're changing few metrics to be automatically AI enabled, because it shouldn't affect end customer. It shouldn't affect your business. Your business is your customers or your bread and butter breadwinners, and you have to make sure it doesn't impact them. So do it in small steps. And when you bring in AI into the tool also, the threshold automations that we talked about, we just made sure that we use it for metrics, take one metric at a time. And importantly, a lot of things, I would say, whatever change you want to do, whatever tool you're building, or whatever, I call this as eat your own dog food. Try to use it for your own setup first. That is something that has worked for us. So Site24/7 is a monitoring tool. Entire Zoho's infrastructure and entire Zoho's application is being monitored using Site24/7. So we are our own customers first. So you get all your bricks in the first place from your internal customers, so that you can fine tune your tool. So that will help you fine tune, and we almost have it in-house. Whatever change that we do, particularly with respect to AI or any technology, we run it in-house at least for a minimum of 18 months, 1.5 years before we take it to customers. We know that it has matured. We know that the product has come to a stage where all the problems have been fixed. So that is something that I would often recommend people. Whatever change you do, make sure you are using it for your day-to-day activities wherever possible. And once you start using it, that is when you will know actually how your customers will face problem. You just only develop thing and somebody else is going to be a user for it. You will not be able to know how it is being perceived. So if that is applicable for your business, if that is not applicable, possibly some industries may have a situation where you may not be able to use it for yourself. Try to make changes in small steps in one portion. See how it is perceived in the customers, and then bring that change to the others too. So in all these, it's not an overnight change. It will take time. That patience is important for us to see the change that we want to see.
Well, that's just good DevOps advice there. You have to eat your own dog food. If you're not, you don't understand whether or not the thing's working and how it's working. And I guess that's just a great point to bring up. You know, if there's anybody out there and you're running an IT shop and you need to start doing some AI stuff, if you use Site24/7, you're using AI by default. You could tell them, hey, we're going to implement some AI next year. We're going to jump on Site24/7 and they're going to handle it for us. So let y'all do it. Any other questions out there? Don't be shy. Okay, Raji. Well, thank you very much for an informative presentation.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. And take care of yourself. I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, thank you.
You're going to go back to bed, or?
No. I have other works. I'm already up, possibly early in the night. I'll go to bed a little early tonight.
Got work to do.
But in a way, this is an easy thing to do because I have my children still sleeping, so it's easy. I don't have any disturbance. Yeah, I have 3 children. Okay.
Oh well, congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah, kids, boy, they will keep you up at night. All right. Well, have a great time.
Have a great week ahead.
Put that link in the chat and I'll post it on the Meetup board as well.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I'll do that. Just give me a minute.
Okay. And as she's doing
I can give this in the Meetup page too, so that others can also use it. I'll do that.
Yeah, fantastic. Please do. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much for joining. Have a great time. Don't be too late on picking up those early bird tickets for DevOps Days Houston 2021. It's gonna be a great time, but if not, we will see you next month at the Houston DevOps Meetup. Take it easy.